Picture this. The year is 1490. Hand the smartest mapmakers alive a picture of the future's richest nation on Earth, and they'd have no idea what they were looking at. This stretch of land, the one that will someday run an empire, is empty ink, unclaimed, ignored for over 100 years. It took wars, gambles, gold rushes, and one impatient Frenchman to turn nothing into everything. This is how a forgotten wilderness became a superpower. Norse sailors had already bumped into this shore centuries earlier. They shrugged and moved on. So when a stubborn Genoese sailor convinced Spain to fund a westward shortcut to Asia, almost no one expected what he'd find. Not spices, not silk, just islands full of people who'd never heard of Spain. He called them Indians anyway, and carried gold home instead. Portugal had already found its own route to Asia, so the two kingdoms drew a line down a map of the world and split it. Portugal took the east, Spain took the west, chasing the gold-rich empires of Central and South America. The cold land to the north barely got a glance. Why chase snow when you can chase silver? England finally tried colonizing this land almost a century after Columbus. Their first attempt vanished without a trace. Their second nearly starved, but held. Soon after, a small ship of religious separatists arrived further north, hoping only for freedom to worship. Neither group knew it yet, but they'd planted the first roots of something unstoppable. While the English clung to the coast, France claimed the continent's heart, rivers, forests, and all. In 1754, it came to a fight. France had 60,000 settlers. Britain's colonies had over 1 million. The math wasn't close. Britain won, and France handed over nearly all its American territory. Wars are expensive, and Britain had just won a big one, largely, they felt, for the colonies. So they sent the bill. New taxes, no vote. Protests turned into boycotts. Boycotts turned into riots. And riots turned into something London never saw coming. On July 4th, 1776, 13 colonies declared themselves a nation. Independence took 5 brutal years to win, and afterward the country nearly fell apart anyway. 13 states barely held together. So the revolutionaries wrote an entirely new rulebook. It worked. In 1789, their wartime leader became the first president. The young nation was still boxed in by Spanish territory to the west. Then a rising French general reclaimed it, dreaming of an American empire, but needed cash more than colonies he couldn't defend. So he offered to sell the entire territory. For $15 million, the United States doubled overnight. The population was exploding, and families moved west onto land they simply declared unclaimed, regardless of who already lived there. The US bought Florida from Spain and drew a new border with Mexico. It wouldn't last. Mexico invited American settlers into Texas. Within a decade, they outnumbered Mexicans there and broke away. Texas asked to join the US. It took a war with Mexico before it did. That war ended with the US gaining the Southwest, while a separate deal settled the Oregon border. In under 50 years, the country stretched ocean to ocean. On the surface, the nation thrived. But underneath, one argument had built for decades: slavery. When Lincoln was elected in 1860, Southern states broke away. The deadliest war in American history followed. The Union held, and slavery was abolished. Lincoln didn't live to see the peace. He was assassinated days after the war's end. Russia later sold its Alaskan territory, a deal critics called a foolish waste on frozen wasteland. It wasn't. Around the same time, American businessmen overthrew Hawaii's government and asked Washington to annex it. The president said no, uneasy about simply taking what he wanted. Others worried a rival empire would seize the islands instead. That hesitation ended when an American warship mysteriously exploded in Havana's harbor. Within months, the US took Cuba, Puerto Rico, the Philippines, and finally Hawaii. Spain's old empire, the one Columbus once sailed for, was finished. A new president pushed further, building a canal through Panama. By 1914, it was open. The forgotten wilderness had a navy,